All right. There you go.
Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, and welcome to the Blurring the Lines podcast, episode 170. I am your host, Peter Nikolaidis, and joining me for the first time in Blurring the Lines podcast recording history, I have a new co-host, COVID-19. And as always, my other co-host, Adam Bell.
Hey, I don't have anybody to join me. It's just me.
It's just
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. It's just me.
Hi, Adam. I would say long time no see, but that's not true.
It's not true.
I saw you last week in person for the first time in years.
Yes, literally years, not
literally
not
years.
Figuratively, literally.
It was literally years. And assuming that the COVID symptoms don't get any worse from here on out, it was totally worth it. Oh boy.
You know, I have told your story, a couple times this week about you ironically getting COVID. Like, my friend, he has been sequestered, he has been masked, he has been vaccinated, boosted, precautioned in the house and the groceries in every sort of way, steps out of the house for the first time in 3 years and gets COVID.
and coincidentally, on the day that the Biden administration lifted the requirement to get tested to come back into the United States. Now, that said, before I got on the plane, I did administer myself a test. Before I got on the plane to the Bahamas, I administered myself a test. As was disclosed on the Friends with Beer podcast, my previous leg of my journey was out to Portland, Oregon to record with friend of the show, Scott Wilsey. And I needed to get a COVID test before I left there.
Mm-hmm.
I took one self-test while I was in the Bahamas, and then another the day before I flew back. I took one the day after I returned, and it was negative. But what happened was, so my flight home, I was about an hour after you leaving the Bahamas. So you flew out to, I forget,
Fort
Lauderdale, and I flew to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
From Miami, I had a layover, and then I flew to JFK, from JFK to Boston, and my Boston flight was delayed by an hour. But boy, one way I did luck out with those last two trips is I did the upgrades, and I was on a brand shiny new Boeing 777
Nice.
on the way from Miami to JFK, and a new Airbus A3 something from JFK to Boston. And the Boston one, I was sad to say it was the shortest flight. It was like 35 minutes, but I was essentially in first class with the lie flat seats.
Oh, nice.
If I could have had that from Miami to JFK, oh, that would have been so nice. I had the next best thing, but that's the second time I've ever flown in a lie flat situation, and that was so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, wore my mask on the plane, wore it when I was walking around through the airports. I mean, I did take it off to eat, etc. But as we know, masks are more about keeping it in from spreading. And I was surrounded by people who were not wearing masks all over the place, like every freaking place. And yeah, so somewhere along the way, I picked it up. I got home, landed sometime after midnight on Sunday morning. Got home, didn't get to bed. Like, there was some kind of traffic surge going on. As soon as I got out, I tried to call for a Lyft, and they wanted $72 and change to get me home from the airport.
And you said, come on.
And I was like,
come on.
That's ridiculous. And so I said no. One of the things that's nice about when you come into Boston, you get free access into their public transportation system. So you can get onto the subways, or as we call it, the T, for free. So
Mhm.
I did that. So instead, I hopped on to the shuttle, which took me to South Station, which took the red line to only a couple miles from my house. And then I called a Lyft from there.
Yeah.
Still ended up being over $30, but
Mhm.
it wasn't $72. So, and
Yeah.
in this grand scheme of things, all the money I'd been spending on this trip and stuff, was it really worth it? I don't know. But I think I might have actually gotten out ahead because the traffic gridlock was terrible down there. And I think
Really.
the shuttle bus actually got out of the airport faster. So it
Mhm.
might have ended up about even.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I used to travel. I mean, I used to travel to Boston, and we were downtown, and I think I took the train from the airport, and of course there was a shuttle over to the train, and I think we got off at Milk Street, and I really liked Boston downtown. I hated the union that I had to deal with while I was in Boston, but because IT people are not allowed to tote cubicle walls from the downstairs to the upstairs in the elevator. That's
That's it. Union rules.
that's a union rules. The union does it while you sit there and watch them do it.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, I got in at sometime after midnight, got to sleep sometime after 2.
Whew.
Could not sleep past like 7 o'clock. So I got maybe 5 hours of sleep if I was lucky. Was on the trail at 10
Mhm.
for a solid 4.5 hours for my longest trail run ever, which was 17 miles.
Mhm.
And yeah, I felt tired and I felt stiff, but I had just flown and not really slept and run 17 miles. So I didn't think much of it.
Mhm.
The next day it felt like the allergies were really starting to catch up with me, watery, itchy eyes. And given that, as part of this trip, like Texas, Oregon, Boston, Bahamas, everywhere, people were complaining about the pollen this year and the allergies this year.
Yeah.
Like it's so I figured like, okay, well, it's so bad, it's obviously affecting me.
Mhm.
Monday morning, I walked to the drugstore again, wearing my mask inside and stuff, bought some Claritin, which I don't generally need. I don't generally use allergy medicines, but I had,
Mhm.
just the tiniest hint of a sore, scratchy throat. I'm like, that's probably the allergies kicking up.
Mhm.
Tuesday morning, I was like a little bit of a sniffle. And again, I was like, okay, like I took the Claritin and I was like, all right, I think feels a little bit better. I went out to visit friends, and for the first time, I went to a friend's house not wearing a mask.
Uh-huh.
And for the first time, if I had worn my mask, I would have been, as always, the only one wearing a mask because everyone, oh, we're over this, right? So I was like,
Mhm.
finally, I dropped my guard down. And we were outside for about an hour or so playing frisbee, and my throat starts to feel a little scratchy. And I'm like, well, obviously it's because I've been pounding Doritos, because she had a bag of Doritos chips, and I'm eating all these Doritos and not drinking enough water. So naturally, I'm just making
Yeah.
it scratchy, right? So I got home, and then that morning I woke up and I had a sniffle. I was like, all right, time for another COVID test. And I administered it, went upstairs, took a shower, came downstairs, and for the first time, it was positive.
What's
And
funny is you sent me the picture the first time, and it has what, a P or a T or
C or a T.
C or a T. Like,
Yeah.
that's so stupid. I
Yeah.
don't know what the C stands for, and I don't know what the T stands for, but you
Yeah.
sent it to me, and I'm like, is
Is
that
that
good or is
good?
that bad?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Why don't they just put a plus sign or a negative sign, or yes or no, or good or bad?
yeah, yes or no. I mean, that would be, I mean, blatantly obvious. I mean, you could do positive or negative, but yes or no would be so simple.
Yeah. So that didn't happen. So, so I got it, and I was not at all surprised. I immediately started texting everybody, and I was a little disappointed because one of my friends was scheduled to be taking a trip to fly to Europe the next day. And so there were like three friends that I hung out with that night, and gave everyone at least a hug hello, a couple of them a hug goodbye. And I'm like, be careful, just I've got it. And everyone's like, I'm not worried about it. And I'm like, Yeah, but that's the problem. You kind of should be worried about this. This
Yeah.
is why this thing is never going to go away. So, so that happened, and I talked with 3 doctors, and the consensus in the end was that I should start the Paxlovid antiviral treatment. It's then, you know, it's pretty much like, well, you know, we don't recommend it for everybody, but you kind of sort of can if you want to. And I said, I want to take every measure I can right now to prevent long-term side effects.
Yeah.
And so I got that. And right now it feels like day 3 of battling a head cold.
Yeah.
I'm taking Dayquil pretty much every hour, and, you know, just doing a shot or so just to keep ahead of it. Taking NyQuil at night and the antivirals, and using my neti pot, and using DoorDash and Instacart to bring me all my food.
Yeah.
So.
Well, my friend who you met when we went fishing, he had, you know, he's a doctor and he has to take all the precautions, and he still got COVID. And one of the side effects that he got is now he has high blood pressure. He's never had high blood pressure in his life.
Yep. Yeah.
You know? And he's not overweight or, you know, anything like that.
Did he go through any treatments and stuff to prevent long-term side effects?
I don't know the answer to that. I would assume yes, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, well, as I understand it, Paxlovid, it's relatively cutting edge, you know, so it's pretty new.
Yeah.
So depending on when he got it, he probably, you know, didn't have that.
Yeah, because I think if I got it, I would definitely do that, because I've got some other friends, 3 of them, that their taste has still not good. And I mean, and it's been over a year since they've had it. So it's not like it's in the recent, you know, not having a proper taste would be I mean, and it's not like it's like you don't have any taste. It's like everything tastes bad.
Yeah, exactly. And luckily that's not, you know, I can still taste Dayquil. I can still taste the honey and the lemon I'm putting in my tea. So I still taste the fact that I burned my steak last night and it tasted like shoe leather. I still ate it.
Oh, so. Yeah, well, of course. I mean, burnt steak's better than no steak.
There you go. Now, some people would disagree with that statement, but I'm glad you and I agree on that.
Yeah. So. I mean, you put a little A1 on it and you just keep on chewing.
I didn't have A1, but I did use Worcestershire sauce. But I did get Wegmans brand steak sauce this morning as part of my Instacart delivery. So there you go.
Nice.
Oh boy. All right. We have a ton of things to catch up on, because we did not record for some time. There was a lot of, we did not record because you and I last week, we had our offsite.
Yeah. Yep.
So
catching up here.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's keep moving.
So we got a new dog.
What's up with that?
So our old dog, I mean, we have Weenie Dog, and she is 12 years. Yeah. What?
Weenie Dog?
Yeah, Dachshund.
Oh, Wiener Dog. Okay, yeah.
Wiener Dog.
I didn't know if that was just the name or if that was.
Yeah. So we've got a Dachshund, and we had one before her, and we usually do like a small crossover between the old one and the new one, just so the old one can kind of train the new one a little bit. So we're approaching 12 years old, and we figured we would get another dog, and so we'd kind of have an overlap. And so we wanted a little bit bigger dog than the miniature Dachshund. So we got about a 30-pound Australian cattle dog.
Oh, okay.
So she's 2 years old. She's a rescue from the Humane Society. Yep. And you know, she's a very sweet dog, but you can tell she's not been loved very much, and she's not been treated very nicely. So we're just treating her nice, training her. She's a smart dog. She's learned to sit already.
Yep.
But you know, like when I put my belt on, or like I'm getting ready to put my belt in my pants, you know, she shrinks away. You know, it's and then when you take her to the door, and you try to put the collar on her, she shrinks to the floor like she's been manhandled during that part of it. But now she's getting to where she's like, okay, these people are not going to hit me. Yeah.
Good.
So we'll see. We haven't even had her a week. So we got her on Sunday. So I came back on Saturday and we've been talking about it. So we went Sunday to the Humane Society and picked up. So she's a 2-year-old dog.
Cute.
We looked at another one and it was insane. That dog, it had so much energies and wanted to chew, it was a 30-pound dog chewing on you, scratching on you, chewing your shoelaces, running around you. And I was like, no, we're not puppy people anymore.
that needs a special type of person to have enough energy to keep up with the dog.
Yeah. So, this dog does have plenty of energy, and, I now have to, when I get home from the gym, got to walk it, go to the bathroom with it.
Yep.
And then evenings, walk it, go to the bathroom with it. 'Cause I've still got a trainer on the electronic fence. And
you don't just turn it on and let her figure it out.
Yeah. I don't, I'm not, plus she's smart, so we can teach her.
Yeah.
But one of the things that a lot of people don't like choke chains. You can't even buy a choke chain at Petco. But we learned how to train the dogs. We learned how to train dogs in the past, and the choke chain is a really good training tool, and it doesn't hurt the dog as long as you are a responsible owner. You pop it, release it, they're like, oh, there we go.
So when I went through some dog training with a couple of rescues that I had, we used the popping technique, but not the choker.
Okay.
And I found it to be just as effective. It was just like the yanking action was enough to get their attention. So without the choking effect. So.
Well, we because we didn't have a choke chain the size for her when we got her. We used the regular collar, and she is a brute. She ignored it. You could practically pick her up off the ground on that, and she wouldn't stop. She'd just keep going and going. And the choke, it just takes a little pop, and she's okay. Wait, okay, we can do this. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. What's her name?
Bonnie.
All right. I like her already.
Yep. So we're hoping she's going to be a good farm dog. So I'm taking her to the farm this weekend, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully she won't run away. She is chipped though.
That's cool. Cool.
So if she does run away, we can find her eventually.
You could also get a GPS for her too, slap that on her collar.
Yeah. Well, I don't have that much on her collar, just that and the the address with the rabies.
Yeah. Get her an Apple Watch, like I just ordered for my dad.
Oh, so cool.
So yeah, I did just order my dad an Apple Watch.
Did you get him a brand new one?
It is I don't even know if it's a brand new now. I think it's a refurbished one, actually. I got it. I found it. It's a Series 4, so it's an old model, right? It's a couple years old. But all I need is something that's going to tell time for him and have fall detection with emergency SOS capability.
And it does that.
And it does that. So Series 4, fundamentally, it's the same as a series, the SE model. Except that with the SE apparently includes an altimeter, which my dad really does not need. So so I got that. $135 plus $18 for a 3-year third-party protection plan. And so $153, I'm getting my dad a fall detection thing, and I think I will sleep a little better knowing that. So as long as he's within range of Wi-Fi or his iPhone, which is most of the time when he's around house and stuff like that, if something bad happens, his watch will watch out for him. So
nice. Well, and
now the trick is go ahead.
I was gonna say the old button, help, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Bingo. Now the trick is to get a wristband that he can put on and take off himself. Because remember, he doesn't have use of his thumb and first 2 fingers.
Okay. Yeah, these wristbands, they do. I think we have the same band.
I threw mine, that one, I recently threw it away.
Um,
Yep.
it holds well, but it takes me 2 hands to put it on. Yeah, I see yours.
So what I got, my dad, is just the loop. So it's just a single piece of silicone, which you just slide on and off like it's a rubber band. And I'm hoping that that's going to be the easiest for him to do. So yeah, so it'll be curious. Of course, now that means he's got something else that he needs to charge periodically.
Yeah.
So there's that. So, but you know, they've got a decent return policy. So let's hopefully it'll work. And my plan is that once I get de-COVIDized, I'll go up and visit him and my mom, and we'll see what happens there. So,
yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
Does your watch have the EKG function on it?
Yes, I've got the Series 6.
Yeah, so I've got the Series 7,
Yep.
and they're basically the same with the, I'm sure there's some difference. I don't know what the difference is.
I forget, but I think if I recall correctly, the guts of the 6 and 7 are essentially the same.
I think maybe I have a little bit more screen. Like
they may be a little, that might be it. That might have been the biggest thing, is they made it a little bit larger.
Yeah, and, instead of there being a metal edge, the glass runs all the way around.
Yep. Which of course it's gonna, you know, my plan was to buy a Series 8 when it comes out, but right now my Series 6 is working fine. So, oh well, I should say that the Series 6 I am wearing right now is working fine. The Series 6 I was wearing 2 days ago refused to take my heart rate.
Yeah,
but because I have Apple Care Plus, I reported it to them. And I got bounced around, and then I got transferred to the health people. And, you know, they had me do the all same thing, unpair the watch, factory reset, wasn't working. They send me a new one. Literally within an hour of me getting the FedEx tracking number for my new watch, my old one started taking my heart rate again.
Yeah.
And I said, heck with that. And it was a solid day. I went for a walk. I went for a 2-mile walk. I did almost an hour of yoga. It did not take any readings. And then it started working again. I'm like, I'm not going to put up with that. So that's why I pay the monthly Apple Care thing. And they gave me the advanced swap. Now, again, either my neighbor will take the old one to FedEx, or I'll wait until next week when I'm cleared, and then I'll go and send the return label. And there you go.
So it's interesting that you say that, you know, because you and I share fitness lately.
We do, now that you have an Apple Watch.
Now that I have an Apple Watch, my my workout this morning, which was very intense for a solid 17 minutes, it didn't record my heart rate at all. And then I went for a walk after that. It didn't record my heart rate at all. But then I went for a walk after that with a dog, and it did record that one. Like, come on.
So something, and we've talked about this on this show, and probably also on the podcast with Scott before as well, that something changed. I forget when, but I think it was around watchOS 7. The heart rate detection just went from fair to complete crap.
Yeah.
It will not, full stop, will not ever record anything resembling accurate during a run, if it records anything at all.
Yeah.
Which is why I always have an external heart rate monitor, a Bluetooth monitor, to do that. Walking, I sometimes have to stop and give it a minute or so to catch up and realize that, oh, I'm supposed to be taking a heart rate reading right now. Okay. And then it'll work. Usually for yoga, strength training, other stuff like that, it generally works. But sometimes it's just like, not today.
Yeah.
You know, which is kind of sad, because the last I checked, and this may have changed now, it sounds like it has, it was rated as the best wrist-based fitness tracker and best wrist-based heart rate monitor. You know, this was years ago, right? But I tell you, something changed. It was back when I had the Series 4. I remember, like, it was taking readings, right? And then it's just like, nah, I'm not going to do it anymore. So it's kind of sad.
Well, and yeah, my Fitbit, it recorded every single time. It may not have been as accurate or whatever, but it wrote something down. It's like,
that was, and that's what the Apple Watch used to do in the older stuff for me, and, you know, pre watchOS 7, whether it was the Series 2 or the Series 4. And it would record stuff, but it would always be like way overhead. And the way I know it is like when Scott and I were running together, I turned off my Bluetooth meter and it was telling me that my heart rate was 182 beats per minute. That's a solid 10 plus beats over my max, so I would have been dead for a long time, right? So it's just like, come on, Apple, really? All right, enough dissing on Apple. What else have you got going on?
All right, so we went to the Bahamas last week.
We did.
So I went bone fishing, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But what did you do?
I was there to have a business meeting with an associate to talk about a possible merger or acquisition. It turns out that that's not in the cards right now. But I think we open up the doors for some possible collaborations in the future. So it was a worthwhile trip, regardless of not having the expected outcome. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So it goes sometimes.
So it goes. Yeah. How did you do any business while you were in the Bahamas?
Yep, I had a very similar conversation.
That's so strange. I guess that's a popular destination this time of year.
It's big meeting place.
Big meeting place, especially this time of year.
Yeah, this is where the big wigs go to get the business done.
Yep.
And
that's the kind of thing. That's like when I was talking about how like, oh, how do people get, like golf courses? How do they write off golf club memberships and things like that? But yeah, that really is where business gets done. It's the after work, after hours stuff is where the deals really get struck. So,
there was, I mean, in all seriousness, the lodge where I stayed, the guy I went with was an oncologist.
Yep.
One of the guys that we talked to and met and fished with was a cardiologist. The guy he came with is a business owner who has recently sold his business. And then we were there with a whole bunch of other businessmen. Now it's a mixed bag of what kind of networking you might do. You might be there with regular Joes, but where you might be there with business owners. I'm not rich by any means, but there were some people there that had a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's not a cheap, bone fishing is not a cheap sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's not catfishing off a dock.
Well, I know one of the guys we were talking to there was talking about how, like, he's been to the Bahamas every month during the of the year to fish.
Yeah,
and stuff. And I was like, all right, well, I mean,
awesome.
if that's your thing, great, man.
Yeah. And so I went, if people talk about survivalists, talk about learning to hunt, learning to fish, so you could survive the zombie apocalypse. You don't learn to hunt and fish if you want to survive the zombie apocalypse. You learn how to farm, because if you want to efficiently catch fish, you do it with a net and you catch hundreds of them at once, or as many as you need at once. You don't take a single rod with a single hook and hunt down fish and bring them in one at a time.
It's called scaling up.
Yeah, you got to scale up. So bone fishing is completely for sport. You can't eat it. You can't do anything with it other than, you can't mount it or anything. So you catch it, you take a picture of it, and you release it. And you fish the most inefficient way possible. You take a fly rod, take a tiny little rod, tiny little fly, and find them, put the hook on them, convince them to eat it. If you want to catch bonefish over and over again, you take a piece of shrimp and you put it on a hook and you throw it, and they will smell it and find it.
Okay. Is that cheating, or is that the accepted method?
Oh no. If you're a sporting bone fishman, that is garbage. You don't do that.
Garbage.
So, but what we did do, and it's kind of, I suppose it is a kind of cheat, is we would cast a shrimp out there along where we think the bonefish are in a deeper water we think they're feeding. And if something hits it, then you know that they're there, and then we start fly fishing there. So
Okay.
it is kind of a cheat, but it's more like you're being efficient. Are you wasting your time fishing a hole there's no fish there anyway?
Mhm.
Because bonefish, like they're in a school, not all of them are in a school, but when they're in a school, they feed on the bottom. And so there's like a cloud of sandy water, and it may be a distance that they're feeding, and you don't know exactly where they are in that cloud. So you find them and then you fish there.
Okay. So you just use it for like triangulation, right? Or
Right.
geolocation or
Hmm.
shrimp location or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. But it is fun.
Okay.
The most enjoyable thing is it's kind of like turkey hunting. That's a little bit different turkey hunting, but similar in concept, is getting out to the flats. You see them out there eating, and you convince them to eat your fly. And that sounded bad. You convince them to eat the fly that you're fishing with, and that didn't sound
Take
any
the
better.
bait.
Take the bait. You
Yes.
convince them to take the bait, and you catch them.
Okay.
That's the most satisfying, is when you see it and you can convince that fish to be caught. And then of course you take a picture of it and release it and leave there satisfied. But for me, I've only gone bone fishing twice. I mean, I've done tons of other fishing, but like I said, this is complex, it's technical, it's very specific, and I'm way better than I was last year. I mean, I caught some
Cool.
fish without the guide. I mean, and that's a
There you go. I
win.
mean, the practice is that's why we practice.
Plus, it's in the middle of nowhere in a beautiful
Yes.
tropical place,
I can attest to that.
and there's nobody around. I can't get my email. I can't get text. I can't get phone calls.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Cool. All right. What else?
So let's see there. And then you got a funny story there of a indecent proposal.
Oh, that was the indecent proposal. I thought that was a reference to the business proposition that you got. Oh, what a double entendre there, man. Nice. Now you caught me. Yeah. So it was Thursday night. It was the night before you and I met up. I was there just hanging out at a bar, and I looked around. One thing I like about the Bahamas is there's no Yelp. Apparently Yelp is not there, so it's all TripAdvisor, because Yelp is kind of a scummy company. Now TripAdvisor may be just as bad, I don't know. But I'll stay off the Yelp soapbox for right now. But TripAdvisor rated this bar, even though it was right in the middle of like the touristy part of Freeport, which is the city I stayed in. It was like the locals hang out here, and after a little while hanging out there, I realized that really was locals there. I thought that these were people on vacation left and right. A lot of people, a lot of different, diverse skin colors and accents and everything, which is like, this is where I want to be. This is great. But I talked to a couple of there was like this group of women that were all there. And when one of the bartenders showed up, they all cheered him, as he came in. And I was like, is that he must be like their tour guide or something. And then I see him show up behind the bar. I was like, wait, so they know him. So, so I asked one of them, I said, are you, folks on vacation? Like, oh no, we live here. And, a bunch of immigrants mostly from South America.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, Belize, Peru, Brazil, Argentina's. And I was like, why would you move from there to here? Isn't it really the same? I guess, well, they're not all coastal regions. So, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And I, as I pointed out to you, I did notice that half of the bartenders that served me were wearing Apple Watches. So they've got to be doing okay financially, So, I had a couple of beers, had a couple of mixed drinks, and I was in the middle of my third one, I think. And this guy comes up and sits down next to me, and he's like, where are you from? And I was like, US. No, boss. I'm What you looking for a nice girl? I just gave him a sideways glance, and I was like, I'm on vacation and training for a marathon. And he says, you're no good, and gets up and walks away.
You were no good for his business.
I was going to say, I think what you mean to say technically is I'm not your target market. I think I'm pretty darn good, mister.
Yeah.
But that might have opened up a whole different can of worms I did not want to go into there. So, but overall, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought the prices were reasonable. I thought it was easy enough to get, to find my way around and get food, the rental car experience. Had a great little Airbnb and what was a converted hotel, to a condo, which was, I'd say 2 stones throw away from the, not a literal stone's throw from the beach, but 2 stones throw away. And it was great. So yeah, I'm glad we decided to have our offsite down there, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Well, and it's a very low key. I mean, it's the Grand Bahama Island. I mean, but it's a very low key. It's not a huge tourist destination. The tourists that go there, I mean, that's where I would like to be. Is I'm not there to party. I mean, I'm there to have a good time and relax and have a few beers but as far as like going to Senior Frogs or something like that, I'm like,
Senior Frog.
Senior Frog. So you're talking about diversity. I went to there's a Chinese restaurant near me, one of the, just the fast food Chinese, not like high quality Chinese, and I went in and I ordered, and I was sitting and I was waiting for mine, and I hear this woman with a British accent, and she's talking on the phone, and then she goes up to the counter and starts talking to the woman in, I actually don't know what language. I mean, it could be Chinese, it could be Mandarin. I can't tell the difference, but I can tell. So she speaks to her in English. She speaks to the order in English, in British accent, huge British accent. And then she is on the phone. So I take that back. She's on the phone with somebody and she's speaking Japanese. I can understand. I can't understand Japanese, but I can tell when somebody's speaking. Yeah, I can recognize somebody speaking Japanese. And she was Asian. I'm like, this whole my eyes see one thing and my ears are hearing a totally different story. This is so cool.
Yep. Oh, and man, people who are able to just pivot back and forth from one language to another, it's just like, they have my undying admiration. Yeah.
Because she was on FaceTime talking to her friend in Japanese, and then pitches over and pitches back. It's like, wow, your brain is so malleable.
Yeah. Cool. All right. What else we got? We got to keep things moving because mine's starting to get a little bit scratchy.
Yep. And then, well, we mentioned some tech, but one piece of tech. So my youngest daughter is going to UT Knoxville School of Architecture, 5-year program. Yes.
Congratulations.
Yes, we're very proud of her. They used to support the MacBook Pro when MacBook Pros had Intel chips.
Okay.
Now you can't use the MacBook Pro because you can't boot into Windows from the new Macs.
Okay, so they support MacBook Pro as a hardware platform, but not for actually running Mac OS.
Yeah, or not for running Windows for going forward.
Well,
so,
right.
Yeah. Well, because you have to run Windows to run the tools that they use. So, so she's getting a Dell Precision workstation, and they're not cheap, but I looked at what UT could get it for, and they could get it for about, and they also included a package. They included an external hard drive, a mouse, and something else with it, and all the package, and a 4-year pro support on site. And it was like $300 cheaper than I could get it with the package stuff. I was like, cool, all right.
There you go.
So I stepped into that, but you can't install Windows on your new Macs. Sorry.
You can virtualize it though now, right?
You can virtualize it,
but they insist on native boot from the to the hardware. So
I mean, on my MacBook Pro, technically I could install, what's it? Is it boot? It's not Bootcamp, is it? It's
Bootcamp that was the dual boot feature.
Yeah. I didn't install Bootcamp. I installed Parallels.
Yep. Yep, that's what I used to use that, and I was using VirtualBox. I got to figure out what I'm going to do when I get my new MacBook Air, because I will be ordering a new MacBook Air as soon as it's which what sometime next month I'll be able to order those, so that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
I tried VirtualBox. I didn't
mhm,
have good luck on mine. With
mhm,
it, the experience was slow and it
mhm.
wasn't that great. So I ponied up and spent the $100 or whatever it costs for Parallels,
Yep,
and I've been pleased with that at times.
yep. I'm wondering if I'm going to really need it though, because most of the Windows work that I need to do is usually remote, it's remote controlling stuff. So I might not even need to run a virtual machine, but I do generally like to do virtual, like, detonating malware sometimes, or going to some suspicious websites. It's kind of nice to be able to do that in a little sandbox of my own. So I probably will need something. So,
Well, for me, it's a Boy Scout issue. I want for the most, I don't need to use Windows on my
yep.
computer, but it's like that 1% I was like, oh, if I just had my Windows, I could boot right here. I could do this and be done. So
Yep.
that's why I have it on there.
Be prepared. You were prepared. Oh,
Oh,
brother. You ever use ccleaner
I
or anything else
did.
to, yeah.
I did. I used to be a big fan of ccleaner.
Yep.
I'm not as much of a fan of ccleaner.
Yep. I like it because I like being able to clean up a bunch of cruft. Now, people often will use it to sort of cover their tracks, or they think they're covering their
Mm,
tracks for their internet browser history and stuff. I just want to, like, I don't need a 1.5 gigs of cache from my Internet Explorer history lying around on the thing,
right.
and sometimes going back through and cleaning up old registry entries that uninstallers did not bring, did
Mhm.
not clean up after and stuff. So I like that because I've definitely seen performance boosts from it. What I really don't like is that once I actually purchased it so
Mhm.
that I could have it automatically do stuff in the background and run it on multiple machines, when it comes time to renew, dear Lord, they bombard me with emails and notifications, system tray pop-ups constantly. It's like malware.
Yeah.
I'm getting these constant pop-ups saying you should renew now. Hey, renew now. Oh, limited time offer, a last chance. And so I had to finally, I turned it off and I unsubscribed. Oh, and that was the thing. Last year, the last time around, they renewed. I didn't realize it was by default. It was an auto renew. So
Mhm.
in addition to spamming me constantly, telling me you should renew, you should renew, you should renew, and me ignoring them, they renewed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So yeah, not really feeling the love for ccleaner right now, just because of
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know. I kind of stopped using it because I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was doing much. The only thing that it really did for me was really clean up the registry.
Yep.
Nice. And then we kind of backed off. But that reminds me of Kaseya. So I think we talked about it, but I think we talked about it offline. Um, I had Network Detective Rapid Fire Tools,
Yes, we did talk about
and
this.
that got bought by Kaseya. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I reached out to Kaseya to say, hey, I don't want to renew this because it's on a January rotation schedule. So
Yep.
I don't want to renew this. So I expected that I would continue to pay for it until January, in which I wouldn't renew it. And, I fulfilled my obligation to them. They fulfilled their obligation to me. But Kaseya bought Network Detective Rapid Fire Tools.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said to me, oh, no, you have a 3-year contract with us. I said, no, I do not have a 3-year contract. I only had a 1-year contract with the previous owner. And if you think we have a 3-year contract, I would like to see that written contract where I signed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see if you're going to say that because we bought it, it came over. I'm like, well, I'd like to see the verbiage that says my contract kind of just comes over to you and you can change it on will to whatever terms you like.
Mm-hmm.
So I sent that back to them. I haven't heard back from them, but I got an email notification that said my Kaseya payment failed.
Huh.
I didn't stop it. I mean, I didn't go to my credit card and say, don't pay this, because I mean, I feel obligated until January, because that was
Yep.
my
That was
agreement.
the agreement.
Yeah, I feel obligated to pay them monthly, and I'll keep using the tool until December, and then, but I'm not renewing
Yep.
in January because I've
Yep.
fulfilled my contract.
Yep.
And but it told me the first notification, your Kaseya payment has failed. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I mean, I can't even log into my Kaseya account and change my credit card information on
That
file.
was probably somebody responding to your request in a roundabout manner, but not informing you and not doing it through like proper channels.
Yeah, but what I don't want is I don't want them dropping, well, this deadbeat won't pay his bill, at my credit. I'm like, I mean, I told you I didn't want it to renew, but I didn't stop payment.
Similar to that, you and I both signed up recently with a new reseller for carrying things like our Office 365 subscriptions.
Yeah.
And I found out after looking closely at my most recent invoice, which was like the third that I've gotten, I think March, April, May, June, I guess the fourth one, that they were collecting sales tax, charging me for sales tax. And so I wrote back to them and I said, hey, what's going on with this? Why are you collecting sales tax? You should have my reseller cert on file. And they didn't answer for about a week. And I had to tell my account rep, emails are not working, get someone on the phone here, right? And then someone said, oh, we don't have your sales tax file, certificate on file. So send it to us and we can refund you for June. And I said, well, you should have had it on file. Here it is. And I expect a refund for not just June, but for May, April, and March as well. And the response was, oh, our policy is we only refund 1 month. And I told my account, I said, I'm going to need an exception to that. And I called my account rep and I said, I'm going to need you to lobby for this. And I will go straight to my trump card. If you don't do this, you're losing my business, full stop, because this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I also want to know, who are they paying that sales tax to? Because the bulk of that money that they're collecting is for a single client of mine who's based in New Hampshire. And New Hampshire does not have sales tax. That to me sounds like fraud. Yeah. So I will definitely be making some calls to attorneys general, both in their state, Massachusetts, my state where I'm at, New Hampshire, and open up a huge can of worms if they don't reverse this.
Yeah, because here's the thing. If you overpay sales tax to a state that you're not supposed, that you've overpaid it, you can request it from them and they will send it back to you. Now you got the headache of doing it. You got the hassle.
Yes.
Or you could work it out to where you don't make other payments until everything syncs up and you're all good. But you're in a completely different situation. You're not supposed to collect sales tax. Like you said, it's fraudulent. Accidental fraudulent, and they need to make it right.
Bingo. And that's the thing is so I don't think they quite got that. So on that note, can we pause recording for just a minute?
Certainly. There you go.
Sorry about that, listener. So that was my doctor's office just calling to see about my status on COVID stuff. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm dealing with fraud and incorrectly charged sales tax issues. So that's all kind of fun.
You know what I find though is, like fraud and theft in business is labeled one thing. Almost all the time it's incompetence. It's very infrequent that people are actively stealing. They're just incompetent.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. But, I've got to use those strong words to hopefully get my point across to these people, because their default is like, our policy is we're not going to refund it. I'm like, well, then you need an exception to your policy. And
if you don't want to refund it, fine. Give me the credit for that, for this month's invoice. That's fine. Give me credit.
Yeah. But we're talking thousands of dollars that have been collected. I want my money back. Yeah. I need that, right? Do you know how much an offsite in the Bahamas costs?
Yeah. Come on.
All right. What else we got?
So you had condominium drama. I'm assuming that's
as always. There's always condominium drama. Yes, I'm going through my third condo, and the third condo that I've been a board of a trustee on, and for the third time, we're having condo drama about expenses and the like, should we do repairs here or should we not? And oh, it's my doctor's office calling him back again. Please
Okay.
hold. So yeah, oh, there's the doctor calling back again. Okay, so that was the third time. So that was my doctor, and he was calling, and he was doing this VoIP type of connection, and he was having problems. But the third one was a charm, and he just wanted to confirm that I am tolerating the medicine well and that the symptoms are under control. So far, so good.
You know that it is a definitely a positive thing, because I mean, initial COVID, I mean, you could be in respiratory distress in the hospital right now. So
yeah,
all the things that you did up into this, vaccines and whatever, it's not political, it's health. You're in so much better shape than you could be.
Yep, that's it. So yeah, and that's what I wanted to, because like my real concern was not the short term, but it was the long term stuff. And because I've heard enough stories about people who have, like, well, you were saying, guy has high blood pressure, and other people with like serious, cognitive functions and brain issues and things.
Well, that's our moneymaker.
Yeah.
If we can't think.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, where are we? So, okay, I think that pretty much wrapped up condo drama. That's enough on that. Let's move on.
And I have some good news. Is my fiber is scheduled. Well, the fiber has already been run. So my modem install is scheduled for this month. So I will have fiber internet at the farm.
And is that AT&T or is that Google? I forget.
It's actually through the power company.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So power fiber.
Yeah. So I thought we talked about it. Maybe we hadn't, but the regulation. So it used to be that ISPs were the only ones that could provide internet.
Yep.
Well, they changed regulation. I don't know how many years ago. It's been a while. To allow power companies to provide internet service. And I don't know if it's required to be fiber, but at least in Tennessee, all of the power companies are providing fiber. So our small utilities, and so out there, mine's a little one, Meriwether Lewis, and they provide it throughout that area, and they provide my electricity, and they brought fiber to the pole, all the way to the building. And we're installing. So I'm about ready to be online in the middle of nowhere.
Rock on. Just like my folks' place up in Bethel, Vermont.
Yeah. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. So what's this home host server you're talking about then?
Oh, so how we'll quick, how I have like differentiated my home life from my business life. I've taken all the computers to the office, make them at the office. I've got 2 computers here at home for safety, for use. And then I've got my offsite server here, and I've got them virtualized so I could take them anywhere. Well, my virtual host went offline, and I've got 3 servers on there just waiting to be turned back on. And I can't turn them on because the host server won't turn them on. And I don't have any other gear here to work on my host server. Turns out it was my Drobo was throwing some garbage back at it through the USB, and it wouldn't boot. So I power cycled the Drobo and got it to work. I was like, I need a backup host here. I mean, even if it's just set up as a host and I got to pull the drives out of the other one, I've got to have a backup host here.
You don't want to just spin up something in Azure or AWS?
Well, I've got my hosts, or my virtual machines, are too big. And one of them is my photography server. So it's big files. So I've got about 2 terabytes of data on
that.
Could
throw that into S3.
I could, but I don't want to pay for it. I mean, that's what it boils down to, is I don't want to pay for it when I can do it for free. I back it up with tools for free. I mean, I'm backing it up with tools that I use for the business, and it's all. I've got.
So you are blurring the lines between business and personal.
Yeah, I've got my but I've got my offsite, or the virtual machine here for the office is my offsite server. So in the event that something happens to the office, I've got it here. Something happens here, I replicate a copy of it to the office. So it's my disaster recovery.
All right. All right. Well,
I need a backup.
Gotta have a backup. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. And why don't we jump straight on to the main topic, and let's wrap this up real fast.
What was the main topic?
Updates.
Oh, yes.
Sometimes they break things.
Sometimes they do. But, do you know, not all the time.
No, not all the time. But sometimes updates do indeed break things. Now, in my experience, Windows updates have been getting less reliable recently and breaking things more often. And at the hospital where I do a lot of, my biggest engagement or most of the work, there's a, very formalized process for vetting updates. What I do for Paradigm is much less structured and less formal. But recently we did an update, which was really bizarre. About 2-3 weeks ago, there's a system that we maintain a cloud server which processes emails and then transmogrifies them a little bit and sends them through to another communications channel. And some update came through and updated a bunch of Perl. I never saw Perl and the programming language in which the system is written. I never saw Perl actually getting updated, but something triggered a reset and it removed a ton of necessary Perl modules.
Oh, wow.
Breaking the main application. And it was, it was easy for me to fix once I ran the program and it's like, oh, I can't do this. I'm missing this Perl module. I'm like, okay, install this Perl module, run the program. Oh, I can't do this. I'm missing this Perl module. Okay, install this one. And I just had to repeat this for like a dozen Perl modules. I'm like, how the heck does this happen? But it was enough that we were like, okay, well, this production system can no longer auto update. So now I have to do that manually. Okay, fine. But then what happened was there was an OpenVPN update because we use OpenVPN to tunnel into the main, system for this. And I updated OpenVPN and everything was fine. A day and a half later, it stopped routing traffic via the VPN.
Yeah.
I did. I'm like, but that should have manifested sooner. So instead last night, I think it was, or it was last night or the night before, I forget, COVID brain. I get this, I see it. We've got this like warning, paging system offline. I'm like, what the heck happened? We updated that thing. It was like 48 hours ago. So yes, the moral of the story, and the really abbreviated main topic is, yes, sometimes updates do break things. However, in general, the vast majority of the time, even with Windows, you're better off taking those updates and then dealing with the ramifications if there's a problem.
Yeah. So. Well, and the other IT moral of that story is this is the reason we have jobs. I mean, I can't explain why it didn't break 48 hours ago. It should have. It didn't. But why'd it do that? There's no rhyme or reason.
Things are too complicated sometimes. That stuff really sometimes genuinely feels like voodoo these days. So.
It's magic.
It's magic. That's all. It's all magic. Yeah. On that note, I think it's a great point to wrap it up with. So I'm getting a little stuffy. Why not let you take us out?
All right. Well, I'm glad we got to get together. It seems like it's been a long time. And I'm glad we got to see face to face. That was really cool.
That was really cool. And once COVID is clear again, we should do that again. I probably won't come to Nashville for the July Music Festival, however.
Oh no, yeah. But it turns out it was in June too. So I'm glad.
Even better.
it was happening while we were in the Bahamas. So.
Oh, geez. Well, I'm really not coming down for that then.
Yeah, yeah, but we need to go somewhere where we can participate in something together, because I was there fishing and we got together for dinner and meeting, and it's like, oh, we need to,
besides just drinking, you mean?
Yeah. Do something that we both enjoy. So cool. All right. Dear listener, we do want your feedback, not your spam. But if you'd like to discuss a particular topic, you can reach us at www.blurringthelinespodcast.com, which you probably know since you listen to the podcast right there. But you can also reach us at Paradigm Consulting LLC, paradigmcc.com, yogawithpeter.com, friendswithbeer.com. And if you want to do it on Twitter, you've got at Nikolaidis. And you can reach me at Sublime Computer Services, sublimecomp.com, or at SublimeComp on Twitter. And with that, we can hit the
big red button.
nailed it.
And